This year, last year was a really strong year in real estate. And what I noticed this year is it almost doubled down. And what I mean by that is typically the real estate market really starts to move upward right around this time. March into February is when it starts to pick up. January was actually one of my busiest months and one of my best months that I've had in my, or second best month that I've had in real estate since starting. So that was unusual, and it kind of prepped me for going into this second quarter market, which is generally the top or the height of the market. And the second quarter is end of March, April, May, and June is really where the bulk of the sales happen in the industry. And that's not only locally, but it's also a national trend. So it's a pretty widespread trend, I should say. But what I noticed was it was really strong for buyers because the interest rates were really at an all-time low. But it was also it was a really good market for sellers as well because inventory was so low. So you were seeing market time drop, and you were seeing buyers jump on things much faster because such low inventory, but they had great interest rates. So it was it was really good for both sides. So it was a really good buyer's market, and it's a really good seller's market. So it was really great for the industry and really good for real estate overall. Here's what I've noticed, and I know the trend is changing. So like I think we've probably hit. I think things got real after last Wednesday when the president spoke, and then again Friday when schools shut down. I think that's when things started to kind of. Those were the two catalysts I noticed. So it hasn't been a lot of time since then, but what I've noticed is I've actually still got buyers that are looking, and they're scheduling appointments with me. I just had a listing appointment this morning, and they're going to schedule their house to list next week. And I'm still getting plenty of showings on the houses that I have listed. So in that regard, that's really good. What I've told them is, look, this is a really strong market. I don't think economically real estate is going to show signs as quickly. So I believe that's a good thing. But I also told them, let's be cautious because things are changing nationally on a day-by-day basis. And because of that, I'm going to keep you up to date. I'm going to be a little bit more informative. I'm going to let you know, hey, here's what I notice is going on. Say for if I list a house that's $250,000 in Chesapeake and it's not under contract, I'm going to tell them maybe every week or every 2 weeks, here's what else is listed near you, and here's what's gone under contract. Or, hey, I haven't seen anything go under contract. So I'm going to be pulsing the market a little bit more steadily to kind of also keep my pulse in what's going on. It's funny. A lot of people think when they cut the rates to zero, I did get a couple of folks call me, and the lenders that I work with primarily, they got an influx of calls because a lot of people are assuming or maybe mistakenly informed that 0% interest or 0% on the Fed cut is equating to an exact change in what's going on with interest rates, and they're not exactly the same. They do have a role in each other. It's hard to see what's going to happen there. I think right now the rates are still really, really great, and that's something that's going to help us moving forward. In Hampton Roads, one of the things I feel really strongly about is we have a really strong public sector workforce, and we have a really strong military workforce, and those folks are moving constantly. So I feel like that will really help real estate in our region, which is good. A couple of things that have just been rolling around in my head are small business owners. If they're not getting money coming in, how will that affect them? If they are house shopping and they're under contract, will that loan still be able to go through? Or if people can't work and they rely on those wages, how's that going to affect them closing on a property? So those are some things that I've kind of just started talking to my clients about. I'm pretty blessed and fortunate that most of the people I'm working with right now are either public sector, firemen, teachers, educators, or they're in the military, or they're in an industry that is kind of somewhat protected. So I've been fortunate in that regard, but I'm also mindful when I start meeting with my clients, say, hey, here's a couple things to look forward to or some questions to ask your lender. No, not too much. I spend a lot of time educating them on the front end, and my background is education. I was a teacher and a middle school principal for 12 years before getting into real estate. So I spend a lot of time on the front end, whether it's buying, kind of, hey, here's what the market looks like. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what we need to do, step 1, 2, and 3. And then the same thing with listing. Hey, here's how I'm going to list your house. Here's our marketing plan. Here's how I'm going to communicate with you. And here's basically it's laying down expectation management. And I think if you do a good job with that, the rest kind of moves along quite naturally, but I haven't noticed anything so far. So yeah, that is interesting. So I'm working at home right now, and I've got my kids here. They're actually walking past me in the kitchen over there. And but it's I don't know. I always split my time between working in the office and working at home. My wife is also an English teacher at Tidewater Community College, so she works at home. And with the kids home, it's just kind of juggling those schedules and managing times when we can work, when we need to work with them. And, you know, it's probably the first couple of days are tough love. You know, everybody's figuring out their routine, right? It's like the first couple of days on vacation, nobody knows what they're doing. So it's a little bit chaotic. Then everybody kind of settles down and gets into their routine, and it works out. So I think we're starting to get into that. We're getting into our routine right now. So that's kind of helpful. Yes. I would say loosen your routine. You know, when you have to get up and be at an office or be someplace at a certain time, enjoy enjoy those things where I can roll out of bed a little later. I can go for a walk. I can grab a cup of coffee, start work. So take advantage of those things that you don't get to take advantage of if you're at an office or a traditional work setting. Also, take advantage of breaks. You can go for a walk. You can sit on the couch and work. I'll generally work in different spots depending on what time of day it is. Right now, you're looking at me in my morning work spot, and I'm back here because I had a listing appointment, so I came back here to finish up work, and this is kind of my workstation. But sometimes I'll work in the kitchen standing up. I'll go and, you know, kind of move around a little bit more. So I like that. And then sometimes I'll work in the office because I know I can get a little bit more done faster because I have more items that I need readily available to me.